Right now, the president is getting an intel briefing inside the White House, and he and his team are weighing their options on whether the United States should join Israel's attacks on Iran. One U.S. official has already told Fox the president has been asking questions to his aides about bunker-busting bombs. Exactly what are they? What do they do? Get into it. How many would you need? Iran says it would make the U.S. and its allies legitimate targets. But the White House says all options are on the table, and you know Trump means it. And according to the president, a ceasefire is not an option.
I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I think they were a few weeks away from having one. And they had to sign a document. I think they wish they signed it now. It was a fair deal. And now it's a harder thing to sign, you know. It's a lot of water over the dam. But, you know, it's very, I say it very simply. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey.
Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. And you try to we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Oh, these warmongering psychopaths, man. We are praying for peace, you guys. We got some huge breaking news to get into. Some more updates. We are praying for peace, man. Praying for America. President Trump's wisdom. I'm reading some of the comments, what you guys are saying. You know, someone says, I would never understand why we share so much of our attack plans on the news. Why is everyone at Fox on the verge of an orgasm thinking about going to war with Iran? Oh, man, we should not get involved in this war. The American people did not vote for this. No wars. Why are you letting the enemy know what we have? This should not be on social media. At the expense of U.S. taxpayers. Imagine how much American progress we didn't invest in other people's wars. We don't need an intelligence agency anymore. Just watch the news. Let's get into this, man. Y'all know how we are. I know how you guys are. You know we're rooting for America. America first. We're rooting for President Trump. We're rooting for peace through strength. You know, the America first agenda. We're rooting for the common sense agenda. You know, but it's honestly sad that, you know, what's everything that's taken place, the complete mess they've left President Trump, what he's inherited, the auto pen scandal, you know, auto pen vegetable chief scandal, and the decisions that President Trump has to make, some big ones. You know, he's walking around, you know, in some big shoes right now. We're praying for President Trump, man. Let me know how you guys feel about all this. Let's get into this, man. I'll tell you. Again, we're reading what people are saying, what Trumpers are saying, what MAGA is saying. You know, we don't want to send any American soldiers to fight in a war, man.
Journal is reporting that President Trump privately has approved an attack plan for Iran, but has not yet given the final order. Will the U.S. get involved? Should we get involved? And what would it look like? David Burke, retired lieutenant colonel.
And I see a lot of you saying President Trump right now is playing chess. You know,
an instructor and Marine Corps officer. David, great to see you. Colonel, you have some experience here. Although we've never dropped this 30,000-pound bomb, what could it do?
Yeah, this would be the first drop in combat, but we are very familiar, a lot of testing with this bomb. This is a massive weapon designed to penetrate deep underground, hardened targets, well-protected targets like the one you're discussing, and take them out.
So you say it's probably, even though we have some options, if you could take a look at this full screen, we're going to use the B-2, and we're going to have, is it going to be one 30,000 bomb per fighter jet?
Each B-2 can carry two. It wouldn't surprise me if you had a single drop from an aircraft, but it can carry two.
I think you were telling me yesterday that the first one penetrates down and the second one will go into the hole.
Yeah, that's a likely scenario. Having multiple bombs is probably going to be required for this situation. Absolutely right. You got it.
So, okay, so let's advance. Oh, okay, I can advance myself. I did not know that. You think it's going to hit on an angle, but yet it's going to glide. You said that this is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be the World War II, open up the hatch and it falls to the ground. Describe how it's going to penetrate.
Yeah, this is a smart weapon. It has a GPS antenna in the nose. It has a really good guidance system to get exactly where it wants to be. And this is a massive bomb, Brian. It's 30,000 pounds. Now, not a lot of explosive, but a lot of weapon itself to penetrate into the ground. And that first bomb is going to hit the target, dig deep into the ground, and then detonate.
Colonel, so take a look at this. This, I imagine, is an animation of the bomb going deep. This would be the first one in that scenario. Would the second one know exactly how to get into the hole the first one leaves behind?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough problem. The way you're describing it is exactly right. It's a very difficult scenario, but that, as you're describing it, is exactly what the intent would be, is put that second bomb right through the hole of the first penetration, get deeper into that target, and do even more damage with the second weapon. So,
Colonel, what you said is it'll penetrate about 200 feet. So it goes about 200 feet, but there's about 300 feet of concrete it's got to get through, let alone what the mountain challenges have. So the first one gets through. What's the second one look like?
The second one looks very similar in terms of the glide path. And the way you're describing it, this is what we call weaponeering. This is the professionals thinking about how deep is this target? How deep does the bomb have to go? How many weapons does it need? What's the angle? All those things you're describing is exactly right. This is the problem that they're addressing. And that second bomb, in a perfect world, goes right through the initial hole that the first bomb created and penetrates even deeper into the target to do the damage that's needed.
So where's it coming from? I understand they're not going to be deployed in theater. It's probably going to be coming from the U.S. Wouldn't work for us to tell us exactly where. But one would go get refueled midair. They're probably that situation's in place right now. How many fighter jets you think? How many B-2s you think we'll need?
Yeah, I would not be surprised if you had multiple B-2s. The great thing about that aircraft, this is a remarkable machine. I think the longest B-2 flight is something like 44 hours. So our ability to launch from the United States, if we choose to, or a forward deployed base, getting to the target and back is absolutely in the wheelhouse of the capability of this aircraft. And I would expect to see multiple aircraft on this mission.
For a guy that knows how to do these flights, what's the challenge for the pilot?
Listen, there's a lot of challenges. Obviously, anytime you take an American aircraft, American air crew, American systems, and fly into enemy territory, there is risk. The great thing about these B-2 crews, they've been practicing and preparing for this their entire careers. They are more than capable of doing this. This is things they've prepared and trained for. So once the mission starts, they're focused on that. There are certainly risks associated with the mission itself, but these are highly trained, highly capable people that are more than ready to do this.
And just by the way, you told me off camera that it's not something you get the Israelis trained up on quickly. It'll have to be an American pilot. And by the way, it doesn't detonate when it just hits the surface. We decide when it detonates. Colonel, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Meanwhile, at the White House, President Trump meeting with his National Security Council next hour as he considers possible U.S. involvement. Here is what he had to say and many appearances that he had at the White House. Here's one of them. Watch.
I have ideas as to what to do, but I haven't made a final. I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean,
Things change.
Especially with war. Things change with war. It can go from one extreme to the other.
Praying for President Trump's wisdom, man. Prayers for Trump, man. His work is out cut for him, I tell you. We know a Trump decision is a Trump decision. So, hey, here we are, family.
Juicy, live from the White House, Dana.
Thank you, Bill. Peter.
Got it. Hey, Peter.
Dana, Bill, we can report here from the White House that because all options remain on the table, something President Trump has been asking his military advisors about is whether or not bunker buster bombs could get the job done and penetrate deep enough to destroy certain hidden Iranian nuclear infrastructure, if that is what President Trump decides to do. He is also out in the open hinting at other kinds of military assistance the U.S. could offer.
We have planes that are undetectable, flying around like, nobody's able to see them stealth. Israel has incredible weaponry, so we'll see what happens. I've been asked about it by everybody, but I haven't made a decision.
With each successful Israeli strike inside Iran, the Iranians have less leverage to negotiate. They've also shown no willingness yet to abandon their nuclear weapons program, and Iranian offers to send negotiators to the White House for talks next week are probably impossible because the negotiators are holed up and can't just go to the airport in Tehran to fly to D.C.
Yeah, I mean, they asked if they could come. We'll see if that happens. It's not that easy for them to come. They can't get out. You know, they're in Iran, and in one case, the guy wanted to come so badly, but he can't get out because there's bombs dropping all over the place.
We are about 90 minutes away from President Trump's latest intelligence briefing. That's going to be in the Situation Room on the lower level of the West Wing, away from cameras. Dana?
All right, Peter Doocy, thank you so much. For more on this is Barry Weiss. She's the editor of the Free Press, and it's an honor to have you today. I know you're at the Free Press doing a ton of work, and we're following it all. Here's a billboard that is up in Tel Aviv right now. It's asking, Mr. President, please finish the job. That's in Tel Aviv. In America, this polling from Fox News out last night, I thought was pretty stunning, and it's probably changed even in the last few days. This is from June 13th to 16th. We're right now on the 19th today. 78% of Americans saying that they are concerned about Iran getting a nuclear bomb. That's way up. You know, it was 66% in April of 2025. So people have shifted their opinion.
Well, I think that they're hearing very, very clearly a message from the American president saying Iran cannot get a nuclear bomb no matter what. And they're also hearing him and many people in his administration making the case that a nuclear Iran is not just an existential threat to Israel, it is an existential threat to America. This is a regime that has not just been declaring death to Israel since it came to power in 1979. It is a regime that has been declaring death to America. And I think, guys, one of the key lessons that Israel and perhaps the world has learned since the massacre of October 7th is to take these enemies not just figuratively, not just seriously, but literally. When they say they want a second genocide, they want a nuclear holocaust, they mean it. So it's not simply that Israel has to fear the existential threat of a nuclear Iran. Think about what the world would look like if this regime had nuclear weapons, not just its ability to target Israel, Europe, and ultimately America, but the nuclear arms race it would set off in the Middle East. Israel has opened up a profound opportunity for total realignment in the region. And I think what the president is seeing is that Israel has pulled off something that is astonishing and will be studied by historians who are only beginning to understand the extent of what their intelligence has been able to pull off. The idea that Mossad operatives set up a drone factory inside hostile Iranian terror. I mean, it's unbelievable. So now the question is, you know, we know that Trump has sort of greenlit the possibility of a strike on Fordo, and now, and I think with every passing day, we're seeing that the leverage, you know, that what that clip just showed is that the president's leverage and Israel's leverage just gets stronger and stronger by the day with every Israeli strike.
So Iran's on an island. Dan Hoffman the other day said the IDF has that country wired, and I think he's right about that. In the past, the Iranians would reach out to their proxies, but the proxies have been mute. Here we go, Wall Street Journal. For decades, Iran's leaders built up a network of allied militias in the Middle East that shared a hatred of Israel and America to gain regional influence and protect the regime. But as the theocracy is now fighting for its own survival, its allies are missing in action. That's true for Hezbollah in Lebanon. It's true for Hamas in either the Gaza Strip or the West Bank. It's true for Yemen and the Houthis. We just had an expert on who said the Iranians' best play should be to retreat to Oman and start talking to save their own lives and their regime. What is Iran's best play, do you think?
Well, I mean, the best play is Trump has laid it out. I want total surrender. Either surrender will come with the bombing or the destruction of Fordo, whether that's military commandos on the part of Israel or bombing from America, we don't yet know, or surrender. But he's saying ceasefire isn't enough, I want total surrender. The problem is one of the things that we have learned about the way this regime functions is that you can't trust anything they say. So they might very well go to Oman and say, total surrender, come and under American supervision or IAEA supervision, we will destroy Fordo. But where are we going to be 10 years from now? Where are we going to be 15 years from now as they raise up a new generation of nuclear scientists and create new facilities that are capable of doing this. What does this regime have? Their leverage, over everything.
And it was bold to take out Soleimani, because a terrible actor evil person from Iran who had gone after Americans, had American blood on his hands, and Iran did nothing in response, at least nothing spectacular. Obviously, they continue to fight against Israel. They continue to hurt Americans wherever they could find them. But it wasn't like a big spectacular response. Do you get the sense, or based on all of your reporting, that how Israel has been able to degrade the capabilities inside Iran means that they're kind of on their last legs right now? Or do you think that they still have some in reserve with these missile barrages like the one that we saw at the hospital today?
I don't think anyone can say. Okay. Are they going to walk with a suitcase and a dirty bomb? Possible. I mean, we've seen what their proxies can do with hand gliders, bicycles, and on foot coming over the border into Israel. So I would never sit here, and I don't think anyone should ever sit here and underestimate the conniving capabilities of a regime that has genocidal intentions. Am I shocked, as anyone is, by what Israel has managed to do over the past, I've lost track of time, is it 6 days? 7. Of course I am. Guys, they managed to infiltrate with Mossad agents. They managed to, I'm sure you guys saw this, hack the official regime television station, showing women showing their hair, cutting off their hair, with a little symbol in the corner of a roaring lion, which of course is the name of this operation, Operation Rising Lion. So I'm astonished by what Israel has managed to pull off. I think the president is blown away by what Israel has managed to pull off. But it's Iran. And it has proxies all over the region, and we just don't know.
I think also the partisan lines seem to be dissolving, and we just pointed out the polling here in the United States. Democratic Senator John Fetterman is echoing that. He was with us 2 days ago and said this to reporters just yesterday. Okay, so what he's talking about here are the numbers and what they tell us right now about the American people. Roll this.
And also, I'd like to point out, the polling has shown that I think it's about effectively 80% of Americans thinks that Iran should never acquire a nuclear weapon. So, this isn't shocking.
Brother Hoodie,
it's
Senator
this
Hoodie,
is not warmongering. This is
Senator Hoodie.
Peace-mongering. It's Iran can't ever allow a nuclear facility and a bomb. And so this is where we're at. I mean, that's not controversial. It definitely should be controversial for Democrats.
So you're President Trump and you're looking at these numbers. This might be the only and maybe even the last issue that he will find a sense of unity while he's president.
Yeah, I think that there is the polling, not just that Fox poll, but a tremendous amount of polling is showing that Americans, commonsensical Americans, feel a few ways. One, they do not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. They are extraordinarily concerned about that. They also, and I think this is the majority position as well, don't want American soldiers and boots on the ground in another Middle Eastern war. The beauty of this situation is that's not necessary.
Yes.
At the worst case scenario in terms of American involvement.
No boots down there. No boots. No American soldier boots.
Use of these B-2 bombers and the dropping of a few of these MOPs. That is what the Israelis have said. We have a piece out today by Neil Ferguson and Yoav Galan making that argument. And so I think one of the clarifying aspects in terms of domestic politics of this moment is that you have a fringe of people on the right and the left, Thomas Massie, AOC, Tucker Carlson, and then you have the vast majority of the American people who have, in my view, an extraordinarily commonsensical and wise position on this issue, which is that, of course, they're concerned about a nuclear Iran. Of course, they're concerned about a nuclear arms race taking place in the Middle East. And by the way, it's not just the Israelis that are saying Iran was on the cusp of getting nuclear weapons. It was CENTCOM saying that Israel was within weeks, if they decided to sprint toward a nuclear weapon, of having enough material for 8 or 9 bombs.
Right.
So that's how close we are.
It appears the Israelis are in control of this matter. I'm not saying they've won the war, but it appears they're in control. As long as that's the case, Trump should be in no hurry. You've got a country of 90 million people, and if you cut off the head of the snake in that country, you don't know what happens. Things can go sideways, and you know they're considering that inside the Situation Room now,
Well,
as well as in Tel Aviv. Last thought, real quick.
No, that Donald Trump has said and is continuing to say, I'm going to make a decision in my own time.
Yeah.
And he's watching as Israel unbelievably and capably is doing more than decimating a regime that threatens not just Israel, but America and the free world.
Well, it is true that a week ago, I don't know if anybody would be able to predict what we have seen. Barry, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Prayers for peace. Prayers for America. Prayers for President Trump and this administration, man. I'm going to continue to bring updates. Let me know how y'all feel about this. I love y'all, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Love, family.